This piece of back pain advice saved my client over $3,000. You've been told before that your back pain may be a result of your discs, or it could be a curvature in your spine, or it could be a posture or wear and tear. The only thing is this leads you down a path that you continue looking for new diagnoses and short-term fixes. Things like painkillers, chiropractic adjustments, massages. All of these things can be helpful, but they really only help short-term. And Brian was stuck too until he made this key mindset shift, and this actually saved him $3,000. And if you stick around and watch this video, I will show you how to save thousands on treatments for back pain. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and I'm a physiotherapist that deals specifically helping people with chronic back pain get back into exercise and regain the confidence in their body again. And if you learned something from this video, make sure to hit like or subscribe, as I'm going to be releasing more like this very soon. The issue with back pain is we often treat it like this mechanical problem where we look at the discs or we look at scans, but the only issue is that 50% of people without any back pain at all are going to have very similar results on a scan. When you go after back pain and you try to treat it completely mechanically, what you're going to be doing is like looking at high blood pressure and trying to treat that with an ice pack. You know it's not really going to work, but you might be feeling a little better in the short term. 1 in 3 people over 30 years old have a bulging disc on a scan and no pain. 50% of people over 30 have degenerative disc disease. If you've been given either of these diagnoses before, this video is going to be really important. And the problem is, as you get stuck in this cycle, nothing changes. So you continue looking for a new diagnosis, or you continue looking for a treatment, and then you get this short-term relief. But you know in the back of your mind that it's not going to work long-term. And that's going to reduce your confidence and it's going to increase your fear, and you get stuck in that cycle. But when you start to shift your perspective and you understand that not all pain means damage, and it actually can be a sensitivity, it unlocks this new recovery path for you. And this is a huge shift that Brian made. And I'm going to help you learn exactly how to do that. I'm going to tell you something that you may not know. You don't have any pain receptors in your body. What you do have is receptors for stretch, receptors for heat and pressure. This means that when you injure yourself, it's your body and your brain that starts to interpret that, and it decides how much pain you should get. Think about this: if you've ever played a game before, whether it be football or hockey or soccer or whatever it is, and you sprain your ankle, but yet you play on the rest of the game, and then afterwards you notice the ankle gets really sore, really tight, and you notice that injury. That's your brain prioritizing what's a bigger issue at the time. And as we start to understand this, we can see how sometimes the brain can get a little bit sensitive to this, and it can pick up on things that it doesn't need to. Very similar to a dusty alarm. Anyone here who's been in a house with a dusty alarm will notice that like a slight breeze, or if someone leaves a window open, or if someone slams a door, that alarm will go off and it's going to ring through the house and it's going to piss everyone off. The exact same thing can happen with your nervous system when you've had repeated injuries to the same place. I want you to think about that for a second. If you've been dealing with chronic back pain and now you realize that it actually is more related to a hypersensitive alarm system, and it's not just a structural issue, how you've been going after it, you have to change how you think about it, and then you change how you approach it. And this is exactly what we did with Brian. How we approach it is we need to reset that alarm. We need to clear out the dust. And what we do is we take a 3-step method. The first one is we focus on educating, understanding what's going on, and understanding the sensitivity. The second is we desensitize. We work on your stress. We work on the variables that contribute to it. We work on your fear, because fear is going to drive it a lot more than you expect. And then we rebuild. How we rebuild is we use exercise and activities that you love to build up a tolerance so your body doesn't need to be afraid, that the alarm system doesn't need to go off, and that you can get back into the exercises that you enjoy consistently. That's how we do it. We use a 3-step model, really simple. To go into Brian's case in more detail, he came to us with back spasms, pain and discomfort that was limiting his ability to get out and go for a run. And that was impacting his life massively, because he wasn't able to play the sports he enjoyed anymore, and he wasn't able to get out and clear his head. So he was trapped in the house all of the time, and he was actually building on this fear, losing confidence in his body that would ever get better. He'd been to 3 different physios, he'd been to 2 chiropractors, he'd been to a neurosurgeon, he'd been to an orthopedic surgeon, he had been to a pain management specialist, spending well over $3,000. And his next option was surgery. So what we did is we took a step back and we looked at what was going on in his life, and we started to compartmentalize different issues that were going on and the flare-ups that he was having. And then what we did is we just stopped chasing these quick fixes, and we helped him to understand just because you're having a flare-up doesn't mean that you've re-injured it or that you've done anything wrong at all. What we do is we control the variables and we look to rebuild again. And that's where it comes back to the education, comes back to desensitization and rebuilding. Once we did that, we were able to calm down the system's response. The system was more relaxed. We rebuilt walking. We built up his running. Very soon after that, he was back to running 5Ks. A couple of weeks later, he hit his first 10K. Very, very soon after that, he was actually able to get back and run a marathon. And that was to prove to himself as well that he was able to do what he set his mind to doing. And aside from the physical results and the things that he was able to achieve, he was also not taking painkillers every morning just to get through the day. He was also not afraid of any back pain that he was getting. And any time that the back would start to kick up a little bit, he was able to take control. And lastly, we say he saved over 3 grand. Really, he saved close to 10 grand because he was able to avoid the surgery and all of the physio bills and painkillers and everything that he would need after that, knowing as well that it wasn't a mechanical issue. So if he got surgery, probably a big chance that it was going to kick up again in future. So there was so many benefits to just understanding what was going on and then applying certain principles to help rebuild that again. So if you've been dealing with a back issue and it's stopping you from doing everything, I want you to try this technique. The next time you're noticing it started to kick up a little bit, I want you to go for a walk. Okay, I want you to set a 10 to 15 minutes. And then when you're out on that walk, your entire focus should be going to your breathing. So you can't be bringing your earphones, and I don't want you checking your phone all the time. You just come to your breathing. And I want you to have nice, slow inhales, 3 to 5 seconds, and nice holds, let's say 2 to 3 seconds, and a nice exhale, another 3 to 5 seconds. Really all we're looking at doing here is calming the system down. And as you're doing that, I want you to take notice of what you're feeling, but I don't want you to attach any label to it. I don't want you to say, oh, that's the disc that's kicking up, or that's because my spine is out of line, or that's the curve. Whatever you want to do, the posture that I'm in. I don't want you to attach any label or diagnosis to it. I just want you to go out and feel through it. And as you're doing it, all I want you to do is bring in little light movements along with that, okay? Don't be afraid to test that tightness and test that discomfort a bit more. What we're doing here is we're trying to retrain the body that it's okay to move, that it's safe to move. Because when the body feels like it's not safe to move, it gives you more pain. And that's really, really common when you're dealing with a chronic issue. So the way you retrain that is you have to consciously go out and work on it. And then you can build on the other things in the background that are going to make the biggest difference. But the thing is that you aren't broken. As one of my clients said in the past, you don't need a new spine. You just need a new strategy. And if we can start to understand that pain doesn't always mean that we have an injury, and that sometimes we can actually lean into pain to reprogram and improve our quality of life, then that changes everything for us. So the key thing that Brian took away was really understanding that it was an alarm system in his body. And we had to retrain the alarm system as opposed to go in there and invasively fix something or cut something out. That was huge because it gave him so much more freedom. If this video helped you to understand your back pain a little bit better, I would love if you could hit like and subscribe below, as I'm going to be putting out more videos like this very soon. I'd also love it if you could send it to a friend who's been dealing with the same issue. This video, I feel, can open people's eyes to the other pathways to success here. You don't just have to go in and get something cut out. And if you want to learn more about my story and how we come to understand this process, just check out the video in the description below. Chat to y'all very soon.